Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're back. We're going to do another Hack the Box walkthrough. This time we're going to be doing a retired machine called Lame. It is a Linux box and it's rated as easy. It wasn't too bad. It did have a couple of rabbit holes that you can get roped into if you go down that path, and I'll explain more as we get into it. But without further ado, you can see I am connected to Hack the Box's VPN, and I do have the Lame machine spun up. Here's its IP address. As always, we ran an mmap scan. Now, Hack the Box has been slow for me, so I haven't been doing all ports. I just did a service version detection T4 aggressive on the IP address, most common ports. And it came back with 21F, which is VSFTP 2.3.4. There's a well-known backdoor for that. And anonymous access is allowed. 22, and then it looks like there's probably a Samba server on here. So we got 139 and 445. And it does give you the version of Samba, so we might be able to take advantage of that as well. So the first thing I did was I looked for code to exploit the VSFTP backdoor, and I found this one. It's in Hellsender01's GitHub. So I downloaded the code. You will need to do a Python virtual environment because if we look at the code, it uses the Pwn kit. So you will need to set up a Python virtual environment and import pip install that module. Okay. Um, Overall, super simple code. We're going to run through it real quick. I'll show you what it looks like when it's running. But to be honest with you, this is the rabbit hole that I was talking about. So we're going to do .venv, and the IP address is 94.51, and we're going to hit enter. And it's going to take a while, but it's going to fail. It's going because the way these exploits, or the exploit for this version of VSTP works is it looks for a connection that it can open on port 6200, and if the FTP server is vulnerable to this exploit, that port will be open. So this is essentially going to time out. The other thing is you can log into the FTP server anonymously. So we can do FTP, and then let me just copy the IP address here, paste, hit enter, and then we can do anonymous, and then anonymous. There is nothing, okay? There's nothing in the directory. I've tried to back up directories. There's nothing, okay? So this whole FTP honeypot, whatever you want to call it, you ain't doing anything with this, okay? There's no way you can't exploit it. If we look, this is just going to keep trying. Eventually, it's going to time out. So we're just going to let it time out. All right. So the only other thing left is Samba. So what we did was we went back. I noticed that this Samba version is 3.0.20. So we're going to copy that. We're going to open up a terminal, and we're going to do search exploit 3.0.20. And the one that comes back that looks promising, or that really kind of, I mean, we can't privilege escalate because we don't have access to the machine yet. And I'm not sure what we're going to do with a remote heap overflow. The only thing that looked like it would work is command execution. And that is, unfortunately, it's a Metasploit module. So you know what the next step is going to be. We're going to do MSF console. And we're going to start up the Metasploit framework, which is going to take a second. So just bear with me. And while we're waiting for that, we can check and see if this finally timed out. And it did. So the backdoor is not a backdoor. It just doesn't, it's not there. So as soon as we get a prompt here for the Metasploit framework, we'll get to work. Okay, so we're going to search, and we could probably just search on 3.0.20 and see what happens. Yep, there it is right here. So this is the exploit. This this is an oldie but goodie. I mean, this is an older machine. This is probably one of the earlier Hack the Box machines. So It doesn't surprise me to see that this is a disclosure date of 2007. So anyway, you can see we searched on 3.0.20 and two things came up. Obviously, we want the first one. So you can either copy this and say use exploit multi Samba user map underscore script, or you can just reference it by the number, which is use 0. So now we're set to use 0. And what we're going to do is you always have to check your options with Metasploit. And it looks like there's a few things we have to set. We have to set the R hosts and we have to set our L hosts, because right now it's using my internal IP address, not my VPN address, and we needed to use the VPN address. So L host, just as a reminder, and L port are your attack machine and the port that your attack machine is going to listen on. And Metasploit takes care of the handler, so you don't have to set up a listener. It does that for you. But we do need to set our lhost IP address correctly. And the way you do that is set lhost. And in this case, you can just reference the interface, which our VPN interface is ton0. And you can see now my lhost has the proper IP address. When I do options again, it's the proper IP address. Okay. Now we have to set the R host, which is the target. So we're going to just copy that IP address one more time, and we're going to go set. One second. Set R host, and we'll paste that IP address in there. Paste clipboard, and our R host is set. We'll type options one more time just to make sure. And then that's not required, not required, not required. We're good, good, good. Payload is command, Unix, a reverse netcat, and automatic. So we're going to give it a go. We're going to type exploit. See what happens. So it started a handler. Command shell opened. Let's see what happens. We may have a shell already because it is using just a regular Unix command shell, so it's not an interpreter session. So we can test that by typing who am I, and we're root. So now we can do bin bash I, and we are root on lame. So first thing we're going to do is go to cd home ls. And I'm sure there's a user flag in here somewhere, so I'm going to say it's probably not service or user. It's probably Mackeys. So let's do cd Mackeys ls. There's the user, so we're going to cat user.txt. There's a user flag. We're 50% of the way there. And we do root. And then we do ls. And there is the root.txt. So we're going to do cat root.txt. And there's the root flag. So you can see this machine kind of leads you down this path of FTP, but it's really a rabbit hole. You could log in anonymously, but there's nothing there. It is the version of VSFTPD that is vulnerable to the backdoor, which is 2.3.4. But this must have been a later release or a release that was patched, because it's not vulnerable. I even tried the Metasploit module to see if maybe the two manual exploits that I tried were just not working, but none of it would work. So then the only other thing we could try was to, I didn't try to enumerate any shares. I figured I would search for the version of Samba and see if that had any vulnerabilities, and it did. So, I tried that, and luckily it worked. And we used Metasploit to get a reverse shell, and it was a root shell. So we basically got two flags in one exploit. So it doesn't get much better than that. So hopefully this video was helpful. I will leave links to everything in the description below. If you have any questions, comments, or criticisms, please feel free to drop them below, and I'll be happy to engage with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.